Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we have left this absolute monstrosity up in orbit. And it'll be time to get going in a minute. And we are heading out to Eve. So, my main objective for this particular mission is sort of a test and design validation. Now, this lander is frankly unnecessary for going to Gilly, which is what we're going to go plant the flag and do here. However, Eve is a useful destination for a couple of reasons. Number one, we haven't been there. Number two, it's a short distance away, and we're going to be able to gauge the delta V of these two stages here. This is really what I want to evaluate. Because from here up, I'm confident in. This will be enough to land on pretty much anything that's left, except for maybe Lethe and Eve. This will get us back, I think, from anywhere. These I'm not as confident in. So I want to game these out and see where they get us. So for right now, we're going to zip around to the other side of the planet. All right. Now we're just gonna escape from Kerbin. Oh, we didn't have a whole lot left in that stage. That's fine. Goodbye. We'll get into the mainsail here. Which, even with this, rather large fuel tank, I mean, the mainsail is a thirsty engine. It's just chewing through that tank. All right. I hate it when that happens. This is what I'm doing right here is incredibly inefficient. Don't ever do it this way. I'm just lazy. All right. Okay, so let's see what we can get going for Eve. First, let's see what this horrible tool gets us. Well, that's not great. Even though it's a very small amount of delta V. Let's see what we get here. Alright, absolute wrong side of the planet. Alright, this is a little more promising. Okay. Now let's take a look at that intercept. That is coming in way south. But once we're on that trajectory, we can correct it with a little bit of burn to come in a little bit more evenly. So that's not bad. Only 1,000 delta V. That sounds about right. Oh, we'll close out of that. Now, Eve is really generally pretty easy to get to. It's close. It has a large sphere of influence. And its orbit, it's inclined a little bit. But, I mean, if you look at it, it's still pretty... It's this green one here. It's still pretty close to the plane. So, Eve isn't too bad. I find it to be sort of a good, proving ground. I use Eve as kind of a test area, for lack of a better term, quite frequently. It's like a test destination. If I want to test out some new probe, I'll send it over to Eve. Want to test out some new trans stage, I'll send it to Eve and see what we get for actual real world performance. We're still getting a fair amount of delta V out of the mainsail, so that's not bad. Now, this intercept at Eve is going to be pretty terrible. This is not going to be a good intercept. And honestly, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Because again, part of this test is to check out how our delta V actually translates, in live gameplay. It's one thing to guesstimate the math and all that, but it is something else entirely to actually get this trans stage into orbit around another planet, or to try to get it into orbit around another planet and see what happens. Okay, so let's make a maneuver up here. First things first. Get that intercept back. This will just be a pretty mild correction burn. Nothing too serious. Just getting our intercept back on our trajectory. Alright, so now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to play around a little bit with the maneuver node over here and see what it does to our intercept of the planet. Okay, that's really good. That's a very productive burn. That brings us in, it looks like, not only on the correct side of the planet, but it brings us in much closer to the equatorial plane. Just trying to get a look. Alright, that's not bad. That's not bad. Even better. Oh, yeah. Alright. I'm liking that. And we'll Kraken insurance. So here we've used very little out of this stage. Now I'm looking up here, and we've got 2,500 delta V left. That would be cutting it real close. I'm thinking in my head, like, what if this was going to Jewel or Moho? This would not cut it. If this was inbound to Jewel or Moho as is, this would not be enough Delta V to reliably slow down and enter orbit if we were coming in on anything but an optimal intercept trajectory. So I'm going to consider already that I need to redesign that trans stage, the nuclear trans stage. And that's okay. That's why we're doing some of this. Oh, look at that for an intercept. My goodness, this would have been amazing for a probe. Would have been amazing for a probe. All right, now because if I slow down here too much, things are going to get a little crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get closer into Eve before I start doing anything. However, remembering that I'm going to be getting funding for all of the science that I might happen to do here, I'm going to do some science. Oh, don't have any comms in range. Don't I? That's right, I don't have a relay around Eve. Wow, oops. Minor oversight. Not a big deal, though. Alright, so now let's get down to about here. And what I'm going to be hoping to do is we're going to do a burn. Yeah, see, look at all this Delta V we need to bleed. We barely have enough Delta V in our trans stage. That's an issue. That's definitely an issue. Yeah, that ended up being not quite as substantial as I had hoped for a trans stage. I'm thinking I might reduce the number of nuclear engines to 2 and just really crank up the fuel. Because, you know, the thrust to weight ratio is going to be low, but honestly, I don't really care, because we're kind of going for efficiency. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to start to do some of this. I'm going to still be able to incline a little bit better towards Gilly. We may still end up making it. Remembering, of course, that if we can get an intercept with Gilly, which is actually not easy to do, because Gilly is tiny, it takes almost no Delta V at all to get into orbit and everything around Gilly. So if we make that happen, we're going to be in relatively good shape. And I can speed that up a little bit. And so what we're doing here, by burning halfway between our markers, we're sort of doing 2 at the same time. We're decelerating for orbit as we're changing our inclination to make the intercept a little bit easier in just a minute here. Alright, so that's good for that. So now what I have to do is I want to get down to the periapsis, or closer to it. And then I'm just going to burn straight retrograde. Using a bit of mana propellant there, but it's fine. Alright, yeah, our inclination got a little desynced, but it's okay. Gilly is actually slightly difficult to intercept. And, you know, that was expected long before we got here. Alright, so we're in orbit around Eve. And we're a bit more than halfway out of our nuclear stage. That's not great. But there isn't a whole lot to be done about it right this second. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a maneuver here. Perfect. Only 28 Delta V. That's really not bad. And honestly, so for Gilly, because intercepts with Gilly are so stupid, I'm honestly just going to get my orbit to a point that, like, lines up with the inclination and has an intersect, and I'm just going to time warp around Eve. So I'll get myself out to around here. So we're close. Yeah, see, even just small RCS reaction control system inputs are changing our ascending node and descending node with Gilly, because it is tiny. So that's a relatively good chunk of intercept. So what we'll do, and we're just going to start doing this a whole bunch. Oh, wait a minute. What did I just do? I just had an intercept. Or close to one. Wow, alright. I played up how uncooperative, you know, Gilly is with intercepts and all that. And then I get one on only the second orbit. If you haven't done this type of exploration of the solar system in KSP before, if you haven't come out and done like moons of other planets, I promise Gilly is not usually this simple. Like, Gilly is usually the opposite of this easy. Now, Gilly is a real pain in the butt for another reason. Let me look at the time there. 5 days, 3 hours. All right, so we've only got like minutes. Minutes inside of Gilly's sphere of influence. And the other problem with Gilly that makes it annoying is that because it's so small and its sphere of influence is so tiny. Oh, come on, really? Am I really gonna be? Am I gonna miss the intercept? All right, we had the intercept, but we've lost it just from doing a time warp. That is how annoying and temperamental Gilly can be. You know what? Let me do something here. I'm just going to kind of wing it because we still have a bunch of fuel left. I'm going to see if I can cut inside of Gilly's orbit and maybe get an intercept going out here. Not what I wanted. The interface... sorry. The interface for the maneuver nodes can be a little annoying sometimes. All right, so we're close to an intercept over there. Let me see what the issue is. All right, the issue is separation. So nope, that's not going to do it for us. Maybe if we just speed up a little. Well, we're on a... You know what? Let me do this. Let me speed past there, because we might actually catch up to Gilly on the second time around, because we're a little inside of its orbit, so we should be gaining on it slightly, which is exactly what we want, because we're a little behind it out here. Yeah, you know what? Instead of messing around with these crazy constant mid-course corrections, I'm just going to zip around. Now, you may laugh, but this is a completely legitimate tactic to get ourselves an intercept with Gilly. because Gilly is really annoying. So a few more of these orbits. We're slowly making progress here. See, I mentioned on that first orbit where it looked like I had an easy intercept, I mentioned that Gilly was usually a lot more stupid. This is what I was talking about. There's a method in the madness. I'm just fixing our inclination, or trying to. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. That's good. Good. Alright, so that'll be a little bit of a plane shift. That'll get us our intercept with Gilly. Look at how unstable that is. Well, I'm just going to warp over there and see what happens. We saved. This is a really inefficient way to do an intercept, but honestly, Gilly is just so difficult, I don't care. Alright. You know, some other celestial bodies, like doing Elu and stuff, you know, they're difficult because of their distance, and you know, you need a crazy over-engineered booster to get there and all this other stuff. Gilly is difficult, ironically, because its gravity is almost non-existent. I mean, it's basically, it's basically an asteroid. And this was actually a really good intercept where we got hours of time. And that's going to be pretty close to an equatorial orbit, too. Not that it matters with Gilly, because as you just saw there, yeah. Look at our orbital velocity, 7.8 meters per second. Oh, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? Am I? Yes, I'm going the wrong way around Gilly. That was the problem. Just getting confused why my orbit was changing in the wrong direction. Another kind of annoying thing with Gilly here is that because its gravity is so low and its sphere of influence is so small, we're going to be limited to how fast we can time warp. Which is kind of dumb. And in all honesty, something that annoys me about Gilly. So, this mission, we could have just done an Eve flyby with this, using the lander essentially as ballast. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this and get Gilly out of the way just so I don't have to worry about it later. Alright, who wants to do the honors? Valentina is lower level. So she gets the enhanced experience. Yeah, and look what just that little BERT on the RCS did to my orbit. So I'm not even gonna bother with any of these other stages. I'm just gonna cut straight to the Okay. And Gilly, honestly, is so small. I think a loose Kerbal on an EVA mission with an extra tank of monopropellant, it has sufficient delta V to, jump into orbit around Gilly. So this is the part where I was mentioning things get a little dumb. So this is as fast as we can time warp. We have to just wait. Because Gilly's altitude boundaries for the time warp speeds are so low. I mean, we're at absolutely zero risk right now. We're floating along, doing our thing. But we can't time warp any faster than this, just because Gilly is so tiny. As a fun fact, the first time I ever landed on Gilly, I didn't even bother to make a lander. I literally just took, my return ship and just very gently touched down. Gilly's surface is also really weirdly shaped. I mean, obviously, looking at it. Oh, this is as far as I can zoom in, by the way. So that's another annoying thing. But Gilly's surface is so oddly shaped that getting a stable landing, believe it or not, can be kind of annoying. Not difficult, just dumb. Yeah, and this is the limit of our time warping ability. So I will probably speed up this descent down to Gilly. Just because it's going to take forever. Okay. That is about as smooth of a landing on Gilly as we can get. That wasn't bad. We're going to be collecting a whole bunch of science here, which again is going to translate directly into money to pay for really big, over-engineered missions to go plant the flag on, the moons of Jewel and Elu and stuff. Oh, yeah, the gravity is so light that, like, even just falling off of the ladder takes a while to get down to the surface. All right, now let me look around. I don't know what the weird feature is on Gilly, because each one of these has some kind of a weird feature, like the moonstone. You know, there's some kind of a rock feature that can be mined, like with the pickaxe and stuff. I don't remember what it is on Gilly, but honestly, it might be too much of a hassle to find out. I'm not going to go too far. Just going to look around real quick. See, all right, we're floating through those. We're probably going to float through all of these. Yep. Yep. And I think I saw... Yeah, right over there, a little terrain feature that might be a slightly different kind of rock. It's kind of what I'm maybeing right now. Maybe nothing. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be nothing. But it didn't hurt to come check it out. Oh, and we'll get our EVA report above Gilly's Highlands. Boop. All right, we'll clip through that rock. Look at that. We didn't even EVA. We just took a couple of steps forward. I didn't even jump. And we were floating like that. I mean, Gilly has, like, no gravity at all. So when I mentioned, you know, that the first time I landed on Gilly, and actually a number of times that I've come to Gilly, that I didn't even bother to do, like, a lander or anything, you know, that I just landed my descent craft, like, on its side and used RCS to pitch it upright and take off. Like, that's legit. That works with Gilly, because the gravity's so insignificant. But Gilly's, it's kind of fun. I mean, you know, it's annoying to get here because the sphere of influence is so small and the time warp is dumb and all that, but it's a fun place to be because you can bounce around and do a lot of goofy stuff. You can have a lot of fun with probes on Gilly, and I absolutely do. Oh, no, 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 no. Come on, give me my RCS back. All right, there we were. I accidentally jumped off the ladder. That's that was the story there. Because I want to plant the flag here. Gilly is so tiny. That was just a step forward. Like, I didn't jump, nothing. That was just stepping forward on Gilly gets you that. So, alright, so now we're going to want to do an intercept again with Meridia 1. $11 Delta V got me that. 11 delta V. And again, because it's so small, like I can't physics warp. I have no choice, or I can't do regular time warp. I have no choice but to physics warp. Because Gilly is just that annoying. So, I'm going to fast forward again. Because Gilly is really slow. Alright, so I'm going to get a little brute forcey. Don't ever do an intercept like this. This is not a good way to do an intercept. But, you know, Gilly's just so insubstantial, we can kind of get away with it. Alright. We'll take all of our science. There's quite a bit of it. Do another EVA report just because we can. And what could possibly go wrong? This is a pretty substantial leap of faith we just did there. But hey, if worst comes to worst, we can just go land on Gilly with our EVA suit and send a rescue mission. Excellent. Alright, me save. Alright. So now, it occurred to me before, I think I forgot to put the solar panels into an action group. So we're going to deploy all those now, since we're absolutely going to need the electricity. And the other purpose of doing this mission to Eve, again, it's going to be short, is I want to gauge how long the burns are going to be with these ion engines. Well, they're doing okay in Gilly, but that's not saying much. Goodbye, Gilly. Alright, see what our orbit looks like. Alright. I can work with this. And, because this is relatively small and light, I mean, the reaction wheels we put in here do a really good job without even needing RCS. They do a good job of, spinning it around. Yeah, the acceleration is still pretty slow, even with 8 ion engines. And that's interesting. It looks like we might be sputtering. No, we were fine. Yeah, it's just the graphics. Our speed is still... Whoa. Our speed is still doing okay. Alright, and this says we have 15,000 delta V. I mean, that really ought to be an enormous amount of delta V. Let's see what this does for us. That's actually not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. And the other reason I kind of like this is it'll be a useful test trying to... There we go. Trying to gauge, our delta V burns coming in on a suboptimal kind of a... Yeah, and that maneuver node is... Okay. So that maneuver node is quite a while away. That's a year away. So we're going to go around again. Actually, wait a minute. You know what? No, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, because we're already inside of where we'd want to burn. We have to go around a second time. It says it's going to be a 21-minute burn for only 1,300 meters per second of delta V. So, I mean, this ends up being a really safe upper stage that I'm reasonably confident can get us back from anywhere in the solar system. It's just really slow. If I really cared, I'd put another cluster of 4 ion engines down on the bottom there. And frankly, I still might, but I kind of like that design with the docking port down on the bottom. Come on. Alright, we're going to speed this up, and again, I won't make you sit through this burn. Did I do that wrong? Oh, I did. I am a complete idiot. Ignore me for being a moron. Well, crud. I was in orbit too early. I had to go around a second time. And I screwed that up a little bit. But I'll fix it. It's fine. We have overkill levels of Delta V in our little return ship here. So we're good. And we're saving for safety in case I accidentally skip by it like a moron. Almost did a moron. Alright, there we go. Okay. So now it's going to be the big, ridiculous 40-minute burn. And I won't make you sit through this. Alright, so that other burn was taking too long. So I recalculated and did one manually. And ended up getting a lot more of an efficient intercept. And again, it took, like 30 minutes instead of 40, but we're just about there to our intercept of Kerbal. Maybe. Any second now. Alright. Now let's see what this looks like. Actually doesn't look too bad. And this will again be a good test of what our acceleration and our delta V and everything looks like coming in from a non-optimal return. Yeah, we've barely made a dent in our xenon fuel. Because ion engines are, kind of efficient. It's a good thing. The fuel is very lightweight. It's literally just noble gas. And electricity that we get from the sun. And those whole bunch of chunky RTGs that we brought with us. Alright, so we are coming in wrong side of the planet. Let's see if it's too late to fix that. We have enough delta V to fix it out here. And I'm going to do that, but we'll fast forward because, well, yeah, I'll do it out here because it'll dramatically simplify some other things. All right, that should be fine. All right, so we'll head on in there. Oh my. I got my... I'm an idiot. I got my, Yeah, I got my transfer kind of backwards. Whoops. We were coming in on the correct side of the planet to begin with, and I screwed it up and reversed it. 'Cause I'm a moron. But that's fine. That's fine. It's okay. Stupid people can still go to space. You can make up your own mind about who the stupid people who've gone to space are. Anyway, so now we're going to do our retro burn, and I'm looking again, like this is one of the reasons I like having a really generous supply of Delta V to spare. Oh, it's interesting. Our electric charge is draining a little quicker than I would have preferred, but it's okay. Didn't charge up as quickly as I kind of thought it would. There we go. All right. So we'll slow this down from here. Now, one of the, I think I mentioned it once or twice in previous episodes, but one of the other strategies that's a legitimate thing to do is to do an arrow braking maneuver that alleviates some of the need for these retro burns and stuff. I find that, honestly, it's more trouble and time consuming to set those up unless you're a lot lower in the tech tree. If I was lower in the tech tree and didn't have all the ion tech and stuff like that, it'd be something that I'd consider worth checking out. But for a mission like this, just a more traditional retro burn is completely fine. Come on. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. We're still coming in backwards. But that's all right. It's all right. We'll make it work. Any landing that we can walk away from will be a good landing. Oh, sorry about that. All right, we'll just speed through some of the last parts of this burn. All right, so we're on our re-entry trajectory going the wrong way. This is going to be a little harsh, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. You know, we've got plenty of ablative heat shield. Presuming our decoupling works as we expect. Again, realizing that this is the first time we've used this particular iteration of the Zenithar in space, because I've got a lot of extra crud down below the heat shield. But moment of truth. Okay. That was good. And we are re-entering the wrong way. Oh, look at all that velocity. We're going to burn some ablator real quick. Coming in backwards. Where exactly are we coming down? Alright. Western continent, that's okay. Coming in kind of near KSC2 from the looks of it. Should be safe from here on down. Okay. Oh, there's wreckage of our something was crashing off in the distance. Land out here in the trees. All right. Well, that's a big tree. Now, let's see what we get for an after-mission briefing here. Or debriefing. Come on. Alright, we still got a fair amount of science, and that's going to be converted into funding. Yeah, we, Nice. Okay, yeah, and we recovered some parts, that's good. And yeah, we, recovered some funding, and got some levels up for our crew, not bad. Let's check our world first milestones. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Tons of it. Okay. So, not a whole lot else going on over there. Part of the challenge is in order to get the contracts for, like, some of the Easter eggs to show up, we have to enter orbit around their respective celestial bodies. So I think in the next mission I'm gonna have no choice. I gotta send some orbital probes out to a few of the other bodies just to generate those contracts. And we're also gonna need to redesign our mission there that we used as the Meridia mission, to add quite a bit more Delta V into that nuclear stage. So, I think that is going to be it for now. We're going to call it an episode. So, as always, thanks for watching.